Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. Imagine your entire digital life, all your photos, your private messages, your work, everything, is tucked away inside this massive fortress. Now, to keep it all safe, you can't just guard the front gate, right? You've got to defend every single wall, every tower. Today, we're going to look at the actual blueprint for that fortress, and we're starting with the device you're literally holding or looking at right now.
So just take a second and really think about that. From the phone in your hand to all the cloud services you're connected to, how secure do you actually feel? It's a question we all kind of need to sit with because the reality of our digital protection is, well, it's way more complicated than you might think.
And here's why it's so complex. That digital fortress of yours, it's not just one building. There are two major battlefronts. First, you've got the one right in front of you, your laptop, your phone, what the pros call the endpoint. And then there's the other front, the one that's far away, the cloud. Think services like AWS or Azure that power basically all of your favorite apps. Both of them have to be locked down tight. All right, let's start with what we can actually see and touch. Your device is the most personal part of your fortress, and believe me, it is under constant assault from a whole bunch of different threats. So first up is enemy number one, malware. The name says it all, right? Malicious software. It's really just a catch-all term for any piece of code that's designed to cause trouble, and that trouble can range from just slowing your machine down to, quietly stealing your banking info in the background. But here's the thing, not all malware is created equal. Take a virus, for instance. A virus is basically a parasite. It has to latch on to a legitimate file to spread around. A worm, though? A worm is a whole different beast. It's totally independent. It can copy itself and just travel across networks all on its own, which is exactly why worms can spread so unbelievably fast and cause such massive damage. But not all threats are about clever code. Sometimes they're just about clever cons. And that's phishing. It's a total psychological game. It's that email you get that looks like it's from your bank, or maybe Netflix, trying to panic you into clicking a link and handing over your password. It doesn't exploit software, it exploits us, our trust, our human error. So how in the world do we fight back against all this? Well, we have two main guards on duty. Think of your antivirus software as the medic. It's on the inside, finding and removing infections that have already gotten past the walls. A firewall, on the other hand, is the bouncer at the front door. It checks every single person, or, data packet, trying to get in or out, and it blocks anything that looks shady before it even gets a chance to cause trouble. So how does that bouncer, the firewall, actually work? It's pretty straightforward, really. First, it sets the rules. This is like the guest list for your network. Then, as data packets arrive, it analyzes them, checking them against that list. And finally, based on the rules, it either opens the door or slams it shut. Simple, but incredibly powerful for protecting your own device. Okay, so we've got our personal devices locked down. Great. But what about all those services we use every single day? The social media apps, the cloud storage, the streaming sites, they're holding enormous amounts of our data. Who's guarding that part of the fortress? Well, the answer is that these companies, from tiny startups all the way up to giants like Google and Amazon, they don't just make it up as they go. They build their security using incredibly detailed and rigorous blueprints, often based on standards that the entire industry follows. So let's go take a peek at the architectural plans for their massive fortresses. Right, we are now looking at the professional-grade blueprints for the corporate fortress. And these aren't just, helpful suggestions. These are core principles, a lot of them based on government and industry frameworks like the one from NIST, that spell out exactly how cloud platforms like AWS and Azure have to build secure systems that can operate at a massive scale. The first, and honestly, the most fundamental principle is just controlling who gets a key to the castle in the first place. Account management isn't just about setting up a password. It's about managing the entire life of a user's access, from the second they join a company to the very moment they leave. Just think it through for a second. An employee gets hired, their account is created and turned on. They get a promotion, their access levels get modified. And then, and this is so important, when they leave the company, their account has to be disabled immediately and then eventually removed completely. Every single one of those steps is a potential security hole if it's not handled perfectly. But modern security is getting so much smarter than that. This quote here from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, it points to this huge shift away from the old way of doing things, with static permissions. Now it's all about making security decisions in the moment, in real time.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it's pretty wild. Imagine you only need access to a supercritical system for just 1 hour to do your job. With dynamic privilege management, your access can be set up to work for exactly 1 hour and then, poof, it just vanishes. This just massively shrinks the window of opportunity for any attacker to get in and do damage.
Okay, so we figured out who can get in, but what are they doing once they're inside? That is where audit logging comes into play. It's basically like having a security camera running that records every single thing that happens. Every login, every file opened, every setting changed. It creates this undeniable digital paper trail.
And this brings up a really fascinating security problem. If the cameras go down, what do you do? Do you just let people keep wandering around with no one watching, or do you lock the whole place down?
For high-stakes systems, this is the answer. The system can be built to literally shut itself down if its logging capability fails. I mean, that sounds drastic, but it guarantees that absolutely no action ever goes unrecorded. It just goes to show you how seriously these organizations take having visibility into their own systems.
And finally, let's be real, no fortress is perfect. There are always going to be cracks and weaknesses or flaws that get discovered. So flaw remediation is this never-ending process of finding those vulnerabilities, reporting them, and patching them up before an attacker has a chance to wiggle through. And this isn't some casual, get-to-it-when-you-can kind of thing. For really critical flaws, organizations have super strict deadlines, sometimes as short as 30 days, or even less, to get a patch deployed across thousands of systems. It is a constant, high-pressure race against the clock. So we've looked at the endpoint, your device, and we've looked at the cloud, their systems. The biggest takeaway here is that neither one exists in a bubble. Real digital security is a partnership. It's a team sport between you, the user, and the organizations you put your trust in. And this lays out the game plan perfectly. Our job is to be the vigilant guard at our own personal front door. That means using strong passwords, turning on two-factor authentication, and not falling for those sneaky phishing scams. Their job is to be the architects and the city watch, monitoring and maintaining the massive walls that protect everybody inside. Both of these roles are absolutely critical to making the whole thing work. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. With every new device we buy and every new service we sign up for, the walls of our digital fortress just keep expanding. But are we actually making it stronger? Or are we just creating a much, much bigger perimeter with way more doors and windows for us to have to defend?